I'm here with Franz Deitering from SAP, and we had just had a fantastic debate for the G6 for 2012. It was your first time on the stage, Franz. Did you enjoy it?
It was great. It was really fun. Thanks for the invitation. I really enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. It was an excellent hour, I think, and some really interesting questions that came out from the floor. I'd like to pick up on something from one of your comments in the panel to start with, and that was around a Hackett quote. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to just draw a little bit more on something that you said and to go into a little bit more depth. Hackett quotes current levels of automation in shared services and BPO at between 20 to 40%. Now, what I'm interested in, Franz, is why they're not higher, in your opinion.
Yeah, it's a very important point that Hackett found out here with the current level of automation. And I think specifically BPO providers, for them, they are in the service industry, it could be a lot higher. And also, if I look on mature shared services organization, automation is really one of the key areas. So I think if we get to the newcomers, the new captive shared services, they invest a lot in technology. That means they set up the right platform, the shared service framework, and then build on automation engines. And that leads them immediately to higher automation. Now, this Hackett report is based on existing mature shared service organization, and they are seeing this as a key invest for the future. So I think we will see a different picture of the next 2-3 years. Yeah.
So in your opinion, Franz, leading on from that, what's actually limiting end-to-end process automation?
You know, quite often these processes are not defined within the companies. So quite often they have still very disruptive processes. They have different processes around the globe. And so end-to-end process automation needs some standardization around it, and that's a lot of work. Yeah, so and sometimes the companies really do not know exactly what kind of end-to-end process automation is possible. That changed a lot over the last 2-3 years. So if I look, for example, CocaCola in Europe, yeah, they set up finance and HR shared services, and they did this kind of end-to-end process automation right away. So for them, it was more easy. They could learn from others that have done that journey already.
I think that's a key point, Franz. So let's talk a little bit about those companies and the approaches that they've taken. Why do you believe that new shared services are reaching world-class levels much faster than historically mature shared services have done that?
Yeah, it is a very easy thing. I mean, I would say they steal all the good ideas from other companies that have done that journey already. That's one reason. The second, talking about CocaCola in Europe, it's a pretty big company, 40,000 employees, 28 countries, and they set up finance and HR shared services at the same time. So I think with the shared service framework as business platform, we from SAP have lots of experience with that implementing. We have done hundreds of projects. I mean, that we do not have to reinvent the wheel with the implementation. You can encapsulate that with rapid deployment solutions, and then you can have a technical implementation of 6 months, and that's pretty fast for a global organization like that. So, stealing ideas from others. Second is getting all the wisdom from technical implementation from other projects into what we call rapid deployment solutions, and then you can start very quickly.
These new shared services obviously have the benefit of all that benchmarking.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you believe set CocaCola apart, or companies like CocaCola apart, with regards to their strategy?
First of all, I think they had a good strategy, yeah. And I have seen some customers that just started a shared services journey without knowing where they wanted to go, yeah. So I think to be well prepared, to know exactly what you want, why you want it, and how you want to get there, it needs usually some external help. So get some consultancy help from all the good consultancy firms that we have here on the conference as well. That helps a lot. And I think they were very smart to start from the beginning already with multifunctional shared services. Now there's some risk involved, I say, to have HR and finance at the same time. Usually I see start with one area, let's say with finance shared services. If that is up and running, start then with another area, HR or so, and have a step-by-step approach there. But in this case, it worked very well. 28 countries, so congratulations, CocaCola.
It's a fantastic achievement. Yeah. So you mentioned multifunctional shared services, Franz. I'm interested in talking about that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I know that you cited in the panel today a trend towards multifunctional shared services. Would you mind elaborating and sharing some of your experience on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, years ago, I'm now 16 years in that business. There was pretty isolated an HR shared service center and a finance shared services center separate to that with different reporting lines. And what we saw over the last 5 years, I would say that more and more big companies are going into multifunctional shared services. That means starting at one corner, usually it's finance and administration, then into HR, then procurement, logistics processes, and so on. We at SAP translated that with this platform approach so that we have a scalable platform that you can start wherever you want, add new function in that area. Something that is changing on top of that is the governance. Quite often we have one head of HR shared service, another of finance shared services. What I see, at least as a trend for the next few years, that you have one global head of global business services, GBS, and then operating under one roof, so to say. And there are lots of synergies, technology, processes, headcount, qualifications, global sourcing strategies, and so on. So it's a smart move to go to this multifunction. And there's no end to see. Even SAP runs multifunctional shared services in many areas. Even marketing processes are involved there. So that's a lot of creativity.
So it's a smart move, but what are the challenges and what are the opportunities?
Maybe the challenges is that you have quite often political dimensions. I mean, the reporting lines are from HR into the global head of HR, with finance into the CFO, and maybe with marketing into different areas. Now, if you pull away some task out of these areas, it's that maybe some parts of the kingdoms are breaking together. Yeah. So to consolidate that, bring that together, it has some political implications also. So that's one challenge. I think with the process and process standardization, it might be quicker in one area than the other, and so otherwise it's doable. We have seen that several times. Yeah.
And what about the opportunities?
For multifunctional shared services, I think you have still the cost area, because you have economies of scale that go up further. You have more flexibility because, let's say, if you don't have that much of work in the finance part, you can support the HR part, or vice versa. And in terms of scalability, you have better, let's say, ratios in terms of headcount to the processes and the volumes that you have there. So I see lots of advantages there. And the bigger you are, the better you can run this global business services as one company, if you want to say so.
Are there any key trends that you see in multifunctional shared services?
Yeah, I would say the automation, the platform, the governance aspects, as I mentioned, and to challenge even more areas, business areas that are not included yet into this kind of model. Yeah, or if you don't challenge them, usually if you do a very good job, they want to join your global shared services organization.
And what about, are there any common pitfalls that you would draw attention to in order to help others to avoid them?
With multifunctional shared services, don't push for it too hard. Usually it's better to do a very good job in finance, HR shared services, and then other areas will follow. So if you have pull factor like procurement or facility management, real estate, and so on. And so in terms of organizational change, I would go for a kind of, look, great job, well done, I want to be part of that. Yeah, so that maybe is one recommendation.
Fantastic, thanks Franz. So let's touch on, go down a slightly different path.
Okay.
Question that came from the audience today in the panel was with respect to the manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you if you think that we as an industry could learn from the lessons of the manufacturing industry, and what are those lessons and where can we take them? Yeah,
that was a very interesting statement of one of the gentlemen. Said, okay, look what's going on in manufacturing and what can we learn from that? You know, in manufacturing, if you take the automobile manufacturing, I mean, to do a very smart product development, productization around the globe is something that we can see was very, very effective, and quality is very good, the price is very good, and so on. Now, what we do now in the service industry here, shared services, is more or less the same. It's about industrialization. I mean, I have worked in human resources many, many years. Now, if we talk about human resources and industrialization, it doesn't fit. So there's a cultural change. But bottom line is that you have service processes, that you have order-based management processes, and that automation helps a lot in this area. One of my very first customers was Siemens in Germany, and they had this kind of philosophy also, said, okay, if we want to deliver a service, what kind of input do we need, kind of an order, what is the delivery mechanism, what kind of information do we need, what is the next step. So to do this end-to-end process re-engineering, to do the automation there, it helps a lot to have this kind of insights and paradigms from manufacturing. So we can learn a lot. And at the end, I think for the next 3-5 years, the investment in this automation will be a lot more than we have done in the last 5 years. And therefore, this kind of engineering thinking from manufacturing helps a lot in all kinds of services that we deliver in GBS, Global Business Services.
And perhaps a lot more than we'd anticipated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Any takeaways from the panel today, Franz?
Oh, first of all, lots of good brains, lots of fun. What I like very much is the interaction with the customers that we had there. And I think shared services is a given. If you have not done it, start it now, and you will be the leader quicker than others because you're more smart.
Thank you so much, Franz. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your frank comments.
Thank you.
And we've enjoyed having this chat.
Thank you very much.